Hi everyone, this video is a book review for Given to the Sea by Mindy McGinnis. This came in April's Fairyloot box, and if you've not read this book yet or are still working your way through it, I may touch upon some spoiler issues in this review, but I'll try not to because I don't like being spoiled. I like to go into a book not knowing much about it. Anyway, Given to the Sea is a fantasy book for the upper end of the YA spectrum, I would say, and it follows Kosha, who is a young girl who has been born to die. Effectively, that is her role. She is known as the Given. She will grow up, have a child of her own, and then her feet will lead her into a dance that will cause her to drown in the sea. This is to protect the kingdom from a wave of great doom. And it's been this way for a very, very long time. Then there's Vincent, who is a prince in line to the throne. In his kingdom, people live a very, very, very long time. So his grandfather is still currently king. Vincent doesn't think he's going to be king. He doesn't want to be king. And his father is really looking forward to actually becoming king. And he's a bit of a jerk. So Vincent doesn't even want anything to do with his father because he just has no respect for his father. Then there is Dara and Donnell, who are the Indiri. They are the last of their kind. They're twins, and their race remembers everything that has ever happened to them. Memories are literally passed down from one generation to the next while the child is still in the womb. So Indri children are born with all the knowledge and the memories that they're ever going to need. And obviously, as they grow up, they add to those memories. But Dara and her brother are the last of their kind. Dara's very, very powerful. Donnell has his own type of magic, and they are all connected to the earth. Their race lived with the earth, were part of the earth, and were greatly feared by other people. And then there's the Lithos. Wit is his name, although I don't think I've seen much of his wit. He's the leader of the Paitra tribe, who have been living on the rocks between the sea and the cliffs. They are a hard people. If they have any members of their society who are no longer useful, they go and carve themselves a boat and are pushed out to sea to die. So the elderly, the disabled, they all go out. And that's kind of heartbreaking. We do see Wit having to deal with some of that, and he's supposed to be detached from it all. The Lithos is not supposed to have any distractions. He is supposed to rule for the best of his people, but Wit's kind of struggling with this. He's got a bit of a heart. He's already had to send his own family out onto the sea, and it's kind of haunting him. So he's trying to do the best for his people, following the rules that they've been given, but he's also fighting his own heart, which is quite interesting to see. So they're the main characters we follow in the story, and they effectively tell how this world is collapsing, that the sea is the enemy, there isn't enough land space for everyone, so obviously there's infighting between the people. There's this whole tradition thing with the Given, and the fact Kosha is not being able to fulfill her duties. She cannot stand to be touched, so therefore having a child is very unlikely going to happen. We find out why she can't stand to be touched, why she has been born different later on in the story, and that's quite interesting to see. We also have some very good secondary characters in this story, although we kind of know where everybody stands. You know, Vincent's father is a jerk. His mother is very loyal, very steadfast, but effectively she kind of needs to rise up and take control herself, but she's not going to. His grandfather is the great king, and everybody adores him. The Indari are hated by all, regardless, except for Vincent and the Queen, because she adopted those children when they were very, very young and brought them into her family. This obviously has caused rifts down the kingdom. What was interesting about this story is the way it's told. Each character tells a story from their perspective. So there's no bias, there are no good guys and there are no bad guys. There is just what they do to survive, what they do to fulfill their roles. And it's quite nice having a story told from all sides without any sort of judgment being taken. And that's quite rare, I find, these days. A lot of fantasy books, you have the good guys and the bad guys, and never the two shall mix. Whereas these, you can understand everybody's point of view in here. You understand everybody's feelings in here because you've been told from their point of view how they feel about the events in their lives and the situation they find themselves trapped in. Essentially, this book is a lot about fate and trying to define your own fate, make your own course in your life, rather than having it been told by others for you. And that's quite an interesting viewpoint, because a lot of us do think our future is set in stone and that's it, and to actually break away from that and say, no, I'm going to do what I want to do, that's quite brave, and that's quite hard to do. And I think this book is telling us, you know, you're not destined to die in the sea. Don't be so hard on yourself, give it a go. I did like the way it was told. I know some people have had issues with reading it. They find it really hard because they just get into the mindset of one character, and then it's a chapter change, which means a character change, and the chapters are pretty short. So you have only like 3 or 4 pages with a character, and then you get to know the next one. So it takes a little while to get into your head, everybody's point of view, everybody's standing in the story, and how they all play a role together. But once you get around that, it's absolutely fine. If you're used to Game of Thrones and having umpteen characters thrown at you and you have to follow all their paths and you can do that, then you're going to like this book, because there's only 4 people really that you follow, which is quite nice. I have to say, Given to the Sea, again, it's the first of a series, or I mean it says Given Duet, so I'm presuming it's a duology. I would have liked this to have been a standalone book. But to have done that, I think the writing style would have had to change, because you wouldn't have got everybody's point of view in quickly enough for the story to progress. I also think you'd probably need another 200 pages in here to try and tie it up neatly. So I'd be interested to see where the story goes in the next book with these characters, with the way things have been left, and just how much is going to be wrapped up and actually how much more is going to be established. I do have a theory about why the world is the way it is in this book. I'm not going to spoil it, I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions. But needless to say, the way the Indri are linked to the earth, and the Paitra tribe going through and wiping them out to claim the lands, and the sea constantly rising, I think that's all linked together. I'm not quite sure how the Given fits in all this at the moment, whether it is just a historical thing that's always happened, it's part of tradition and we're always going to do it, or if there's actually going to be consequences to what's happening towards the end of this book. But yeah, Given to the Sea, Mindy McGinnis. I really liked it. I gave it 4 solid stars on Goodreads. Whether that means anything or not, because everybody rates everything differently, I don't know. But I enjoyed this. If you like multiple point of view, if you like first person storytelling, if you like a fantasy world, if you like hard questions, and if you enjoy seeing stories told from a balanced point of view, you'll probably enjoy this. Please do not judge the book by its cover. It's not a girly, romancy, fairy tale story, not by any shot. This is what it looks like on the inside. Plain white book with gold lettering. I think they've given it a pretty cover to encourage people, particularly young girls, to pick it up and read it. But I would say don't let the cover put you off. That's not quite the story that's being told inside. So yeah, Given to the Sea. Give it a go. Let me know how you got on with it, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. I would say to those people that are struggling with it, hang on in there, keep with it. It is a pretty quick read, particularly with the chapters being so short. And if you can get your head around jumping between different characters, you'll be fine and actually enjoy the rest of the story. Thank you very much for watching my review. Please follow me on Goodreads, Twitter and Instagram. All the links down below in the description box. Give me a thumbs up if you'd like, please. I'd like to see a few more of them. And happy reading, everyone. Bye.